The answer for question 1 is letter B. -2 is larger than -6 because -2 is to the right of -6. Always remember, on the number line, the number to the right will always be larger than the number to the left. Number 2, the product of an integer times itself is called perfect square. Today in class, we will learn about non-perfect squares. Let's read together. A non-perfect square is found when we multiply a decimal number times itself. A decimal is the number that is not exact. This means that a decimal has a little less or a little more than the integer. The square root of a non-perfect square is a decimal number. As we can see in this image, 14 is not a perfect square because the square root of 14 is approximate 3.7, which means that 3.7 times 3.7 is approximate to 14. The symbols, the one that looks like the two worms, mean approximate to. Non-perfect squares can be graphed on the number line just about the same way we graph the perfect squares. 4, 9, and 16s are perfect squares, and when we write the square root of 4, the square root of 9, and the square root of 16, we will have integers 2, 3, and 4. The ones in blue are the non-perfect squares. Let's use the square root of 7 as an example. The square root of 7 will lie about here, which is more than 2 and less than 3. The square root of 13 lies about here, which is more than 3 and less than 4. That makes it a decimal number. And the square root of 20 lies about here, more than 4 and less than 5. That makes it a decimal number. Let's see a few examples. Use the table as reference to determine between which two consecutive integers on the number line is the square root of 242 found. When we check the perfect squares, 242 lies between 225 and 256. So we're going to draw our line, and we're going to write the two perfect squares, 225 and 256. So now, the square root of 225 is 15, the square root of 256 is 16, and the square root of 242 lies here, which is more than 15 and less than 16. To answer our question, the square root of 242 is found between integers 15 and 16. Our last example, use the table as a reference. Determine between which two consecutive integers on the number line is the square root of 182 found. 182 is found between 169 and 196. So we draw our number line, and now we're going to graph the 169 and the 196. The square root of 169 is 13, the square root of 196 is 14, and now we place 182 in between. The square root of 182 lies about here, which is a decimal more than 13 and less than 14. To answer our question, the square root of 182 is found between integers 13 and 14.